Hello and welcome to the Collapse Experiment. And today I'm going to be talking about how I got into reading again. Because I've been using Goodreads for several years now. And back in 2016 to 2019, I was reading quite a bit. Now, this included audiobooks. Uh, Goodreads also includes manga and comic books, but I was reading a lot of books at the time. And then, I don't know, 2020 happened, which you think with an event like the COOF, um, you'd have more time on your hands. But I don't know about you, but that was not the case for me. So, this year in particular, I made a goal for myself that I was going to read more. I was going to finally finish a lot of books that I had started and just lost to the wayside. I'm still casually going through boxes of books that I have, and yes, I have boxes, several boxes of books, and I'll find one with a bookmark in it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I started reading that like 7 years ago. And for some reason, when I crack that book open, I know what the first section of the book said. I just never bothered to finish reading it. So it wasn't the fact that I was bored with it or that I wasn't interested in the story. It was just, I don't know. I don't know what the scoop is. So, what did I do differently this year? Because I'm already at, I just checked Goodreads earlier today, 45 or 46 books for this year. And how the hell did I manage that? We're not even in July yet. Well, for one, watching less TV. And let's face it, for one, we don't have normal TV here. Like antenna cable-ish TV. It's just freaking Netflix, Amazon, HBO, Paramount Plus. And I'm sure that there's freaking apps that we're subscribed to that I'm not even aware of, but yes, we have a ton of apps. And for some reason, whenever I'm through these apps, I would find myself, and this was particularly irritating the end of last year. This is why I was like, I need to do something different. Where it would be the end of the day, I'd get home from my evening job, and I'd get the remote out, and I'm just, sometimes for an hour, not even clicking on anything. I would add stuff to a list of things that I wanted to watch. And then when I wanted to watch something, I would never just go to the list. I'm just like, what else is on here? Oh, okay. I don't really feel like starting a series. I don't have enough time to watch a movie. I don't know what I'm doing. I really wasn't doing anything with my time. So, another thing that I did in my 30s, I was diagnosed with mild dyslexia, which explained a lot of things, especially for like middle school through high school, where I would read a book and I would sit there and I would read and I would read and I would flip the page and then I would realize I have no idea what the last two pages just said. So that was an ongoing issue. A lot of people would say it was like scattered brain, lack of focus. I started playing around with nootropics this year, and I have noticed better focus. I also, in my 30s, worked a lot on just reading in general. Like, I think just reading by itself and growing up as a boy, as a young man, we're encouraged to be doing things, and to be sitting down reading a book doesn't feel like you're accomplishing much. It doesn't seem like you're active, like you're supposed to, as a young man. And so I think that had a lot to do with it too. But taking nootropics definitely increased the amount of time that I was able to spend reading. Cognitive retention definitely increased in doing that. I replaced our local crappy radio stations with audiobooks in the car. That was another thing. So, the struggle. People talk about, like, you'll see pictures of the CD case in the car, and it's like kids these days will never know the struggle, and the struggle is real. Trying to pick the right CD to put in, to jam to while driving to your local Meijer, because there's no clubs where you live. Because, pulling up to a red light and having the windows down, blasting that tune is going to help you pick up women or something. I don't know. But no, fixing the struggle, replacing that with an audiobook where you can immediately load up 5 or 6 CDs and then just cruise through those in the span of a week. And if your book is 12 or 14 CDs long, you've just read a book while driving back and forth to work in 2 weeks. So that has helped. I know a lot of people do Audible and things like that, but for one, Audible is expensive, and for what you get for what you pay doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. What also pisses me off about Amazon, and this is a total side category here, is that when you turn your book into an audiobook and it's available for sale on Amazon, there's this weird thing that happens, and I don't do the audiobooks, so I didn't know this. I had to learn this from people who do, and thankfully post things on YouTube. Apparently when you get done or at the end of an audiobook and it's finished, you have the option to return it, which means you can listen to 8, 10, 12-hour book, finish it. You paid your $8, $12, $15 for the audiobook, and then you return it, meaning the author doesn't get their money. Amazon, what the are you doing? So that's a thing. So what I do is I basically go to like the local Goodwills and other stores, secondhand stores, and I'll find audiobooks of things that I've wanted to listen to or things that just sound good. And there'll be a couple of bucks, and that's it. Like, I listened to 1Q84 on audiobook, unabridged. So it was like 46 hours, I believe, of an audiobook. And that was really, really intense. But for $6.99, I mean, the audiobooks for the longest time cost more than the actual books themselves. So again, you're getting your books in, and they're a lot cheaper than they would be. So things that I read now that keep my attention. I have this thing in my mind where I'll get into an author and I say to myself, like, I'm going to read like everything in this guy's catalog. And then I get like 2 or 3 books in and I'm like, I really need a change of pace. So what I've noticed is that there's certain authors that pique certain interest of mine. What I'm currently reading is Will Self, Walking to Hollywood, Memoirs Before the Fall. He's got definitely a deep British accent. You can find several videos of him and doing interviews and presentations on YouTube. I'd highly recommend them. Fascinating author. I've read like his last 3 or 4 brand new books, and this dude's been writing since the 90s, so I'm 2 decades behind on Will Self. I picked this book primarily because it's a memoir It seemed interesting to me, like chapters like this. A lot of photos, I believe, that he took with a Polaroid camera, just random stuff, kind of, I don't know, proof that these events kind of sort of happen, because he does say that's a fictionalized account of real events. But as I was reading this one, I believe it's like one of the last books of, I wouldn't say a series, but definitely a time period of his, because he makes a lot of references to titles previously published, like Dr. Mukti, The Undivided Self, and a couple of other titles I can't think of off the top of my head. But he makes these references to previous books, and then I was looking to see like what the catalog is in order, and this comes right before this big trilogy that he did for several years, starting with Umbrella, Shark, and Phone, which completely changed his writing style to the point where I was reading his new stuff. So I don't know, I feel like reading this one kind of set me off pace, because I hadn't read the previous books, but at the same time I'm like, is this priming me for the previous books? We'll find out. So when I want to read something that's more connected to my life here in Northern Michigan, I go to Jim Harrison. And why do I like Jim Harrison? Because I basically live where his books take place. A lot of it takes place in the UP, but this was a fascinating couple paragraphs that I had found in here, where I'm like, wait, what? Like, he's literally driving, his character in the book is literally driving down roads that I've been down. Case in point, we drove back to the cottage from Luther to Bristol to Tustin to Leroy. This is exactly where I live, just south of Cadillac. All these little towns that are all 5-10 minutes apart from each other. To the lake, which he doesn't say which lake. I don't know if it's Center Lake. I don't know if it's, I forget the name, Rose Lake. But it just says, to the lake and ate fish. Now, that whole sentence right there just caught me completely off guard. And then in the next paragraph, it starts out, Cadillac, after Mansalona and Kalkaska, then Leroy and Ashton. Ashton's just south of Leroy. They have a really good sale on meat, like annually. They do their own butchering. You can get stuff and fill your freezer for super cheap. Where I turned left on the gravel road, just a gravel road, for a quick detour to the lake. What lake down by Ashton? Don't know. But, yeah, all of these, well, for one, I work in Cadillac. The others, I either live near or I've delivered to in some of the jobs that I've had. So I just find it fascinating that you can be reading something by Jim Harrison and instantly you know like where the hell this took place. Now this granted was written back in looks like it was published in 1971. So we didn't even have Highway 131 rolling through here. We had old Highway US 131, which is also known as Mackinac Trail in my area. That is the highway that he would have been taking. If he mentions 131, it's not the one that's out there today. So I'll go to some Jim Harrison. And one of the other problems I have in my head with reading certain authors or enjoying books by certain authors is you can only read their books for the first time once. And once you've read their entire catalog, I'm not the type of person to go back and read a book again. So I don't know. I kind of like to savor some things or really enjoy it for what it is the first time, and then, check it off the list and then see what's left on the agenda. Um, I'm never going to read this again. I might go back to it as a reference to see what he said about North Hollywood or where he flew out of from London. But as for like sitting down and reading this whole 470 some page book again, that's probably not going to happen. Other things that I'll do in order to keep my interest going in reading is pick up something really, really off-brand. Like, everybody seems to love this series, and they got these collected editions at the library. It's 3 books in one, so basically you don't have to worry about like, well, I picked up book 1 and 3, I don't know what happens in 2. It's really kind of nice, and I'd like to know what the hell this series is about, besides pirates. But again, just something else that it's easy, it's relaxing. Is it like reading Ulysses or intense classic literature? No, but it keeps me going. It keeps my interest. So that's basically what I've been doing in order to keep my interest going and reading again. Also, having the bookshelves out instead of everything being in storage also helps a hell of a lot too. Granted, a lot of these are just collectibles. If I do actually crack them open to read them, it's going to be under very specific conditions, because I've got first editions, autographed first editions, uncorrected proof copies of books that people hunt down, all kinds of crazy stuff back there. And if you want to know what's on my bookshelf, I'll do a video later on if you ask. Otherwise, I feel like it's probably just going to be a waste of time. But yeah, that's primarily how I got back into reading again. That and just feeling like every year that goes by, it's like, oh, I read like 5 books and not anything that I really had on my agenda. That got really irritating. Not having access to my library got really irritating. And yeah, this was something I started reading, Wolf by Jim Harrison, I believe before 2020. Like, I found this copy, it was for $1 at the local Friends of the Library at the time. I honestly thought this was what the movie Wolf that Jim Harrison wrote. I thought the movie was based on that. It's not. It's a completely different story. That didn't discourage me or throw me off or anything. It was just like, I don't see where Jack Nicholson's character comes into play here. It's because he's not in here. But anyways, that's what I did. So if there's anything else you want to know, let me know in the comment section. And in the meantime, keep on typing.